Hello everyone. We usually talk a lot about success, but we rarely talk about failure and problems. That's why I decided today to talk about a book called The Obstacle and the Way, written by Ryan Holiday. This book is about how to overcome problems or difficulties and turn them into an advantage. The author uses Stoic philosophy and stories of historical figures to show us how difficulties can be turned into opportunities. The obstacle to action moves the action forward. What is in the way becomes the way. This is the central idea of Stoic philosophy. In Stoic philosophy, there are no setbacks, problems, or obstacles. Everything that happens is simply an opportunity to do something different and improve along the way. Stoicism is not about being optimistic or pretending that problems do not exist. It is about being opportunistic and creative with problems. It is a philosophy for self-made individuals who understand that they do not control external forces but that they control their internal forces. Most of the great people in history have used this philosophy to turn every obstacle into an opportunity. They used obstacles as fuel for their success. In fact, it was these difficulties that made them who they are. The author says that great times produce gentle people. Since World War II, we live in one of the best times in history, but we still feel like we have tons of problems. People who lived in difficult times faced the same problem we face today: devastating wars, disease, and poverty. How is it that we are not as successful as they were in dealing with the problems? The reality is that today, when most of us are faced with problems, we are paralyzed, we are stuck. We say it's not fair, we don't want it to be that way. We blame someone or look for what caused the problem. We all experience an obstacle, a problem, a frustration, or an unexpected issue. What if this thing you are experiencing now is not so bad? What if in this problem there was a benefit or an opportunity for you? Can you imagine how much better you will feel? If this was your main attitude towards life and problems. The book is divided into 3 parts and it explains how you can create this kind of Stoic attitude. The first part is perception. The second is action and the third is will. Perception and how you see things or problems. If you decide to see them as horrible or unjust, then they will be horrible and unjust. The story you tell is important. You will encounter obstacles in life that are fair or unfair. What matters most is not what those obstacles are, but how we see them, how we react to them too often. We react emotionally and lose our perspective. This only turns bad things into very bad things. For example, if you are stuck in traffic, you can be the guy who gets angry and complains. You can be the guy who sees it as free time to listen to an audiobook. That's just the way it is. You can't change what happens in traffic, but you can change your perception of the situation and the actions you take. The author gives us several practical tactics to change our perception. First tactic: recognize your power. In 1966, the famous boxer Robin Carter was wrongly convicted of murder and sent to prison. Suddenly, from the top of the world of fame and money, he hit rock bottom. When Carter entered the prison, he was wearing a $5,000 gold watch, a diamond ring and a suit. As soon as he entered the prison, he met with the authorities and told them, "I know you had nothing to do with the injustice that put me here, but under no circumstances will I be treated like a prisoner because I am not." He didn't want to do the tasks of the prison and wouldn't let anyone treat him like a prisoner. He devoted all his attention to reading and learning. He read books on law and philosophy. With this attitude, Arthur said, "You can take everything from me, but you can't touch the power that is in me. I may be in the wrong room, but what I do in that room is up to me." Carter was found innocent after 19 years. After leaving prison, he was already a better and improved man. He didn't ask for an apology. He didn't even ask for financial compensation for his 19 years, because that would mean they took something from him. And instead, he just went on with his life afterwards, as if nothing had happened. Here is a quote from Marcus Aurelius. "Choose not to be wronged and you will not be wronged. Don't feel wronged and you won't be wronged. The second tactic is to remain objective. The author explains that objectivity is about removing the you from any situation. Imagine that you are not involved. If someone else was facing the same obstacle, what advice would you give? Have you noticed how objective we are when we give advice to a friend? Your friend is complaining and feeling stressed. But you see that the problem is not as bad as he thinks. You are able to see things much more clearly and objectively when you give your friend advice. But we can't do the same with our own obstacles. So get out of the situation and pretend it's happening to someone else. Third tactic: control your emotions. Obstacles make us emotional. But the only way to survive or overcome them is to keep your emotions in check. If an emotion cannot change the state or situation you are facing, it is probably a useless emotion or most likely a destructive one. No one said anything about not feeling them. The real strength lies in controlling emotions, not in pretending they don't exist. Subconsciously, we should constantly ask ourselves this question: do I need to freak out about this? Fourth tactic: change your perspective. When you can break something down or look at it from a new perspective, it loses its power over you. Usually, when something goes wrong, your first reaction is to feel upset or angry. For example, your train is late because of construction and you start thinking, why do these things always happen to me? You start to feel angry, but look at the situation from a different perspective. Are you the only one on the train? Is this really just happening to you? Everyone else on the train is also late. It's not just you. Let me give you another example. You go to an interview and you are rejected and you feel like they didn't see how good you are or that they didn't appreciate your skills. This is a familiar feeling for most of us, but let's look at it from a different perspective for a moment. The interview process is a hurdle for the interviewer as well. She has to find someone and she really hopes the next person who walks into the room is the right one, so that she doesn't have to interview other people. The interview solves her problem, not yours. If we change our perspective and try to be the solution to the interviewer's problems, I'm sure our approach and outcome would be very different. Perspective is important, but that doesn't mean that once you change your perception, everything will be sunny and rosy. We still need to take action. Which brings us to part 2. This part opens with the story of Demosthenes, one of the greatest orators in history. But as a child, he was sickly and fragile, with an almost debilitating speech impediment. He was the awkward child that everyone laughed at, but he did something about it. To overcome his speech impediment, he filled his mouth with pebbles and practiced speaking. He would repeat entire speeches in the wind or while running up steep hills. He even locked himself underground to learn. All this training was to bear fruit and make him one of the greatest orators of Athens, when a scholar once asked him what were the 3 most important traits of oratory. His answer was action, action, action. Sometimes we act, but at some point we feel stuck because of rules and regulations. We try too hard to do things, according to the manual. The author says that sometimes we have to ignore the manual, what is right and what works. In the book, there is a great story about 2 fruit companies that wanted to buy the same land in the jungle of South America. But the problem was that 2 different people claimed ownership of the land and it was not possible to identify the rightful owner. One of the companies was large and powerful and the other was very small, but very smart. The big company hired the most powerful lawyers and spent all the money necessary to find the rightful owner, while the small company simply met with the 2 owners and bought the land from them. Yes, it's true that he paid double for the land, but that was it. The land was his. Later, this small company wanted to build a bridge over the river to transfer the fruit from one side to the other. But the big company started to stop them by imposing laws and regulations. This time, the small company started to build equipment that could be extended to both sides of the river to transfer the fruit. And when the work was finished, the equipment could simply be dismantled. Seeing this, the big company started to accuse the small company of building a bridge, and the small company responded by saying that it is not a bridge, it is just pieces of metal sticks. What are you talking about? Sometimes in life we have to act this way. Sometimes you have to give the middle finger to the mean people who try to stop you with their mean rules. And say, what a bridge. What are you talking about? It's not a bridge, it's just pieces of metal. The last part of the book is about willpower. If action is what we do when we have control over some problem, will is what we do when we have no control over the problem. Will is looking at the parts of things that we do not control. For example, we do not control the fact that we are all going to die. We don't control the fact that people may try to hurt us or deceive us. So willpower is about understanding our own mortality, understanding that there are things that are bigger than us that we don't control. This is an important part of Stoic philosophy. It simply accepts and loves what happens, even if it's bad. In the book, there is the story of Thomas Edison. His factory burns down and his words to his son, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They will never see a fire like this again." What is said meant, is this. Listening, running in panic or crying over a burning factory is not going to change anything. But at least I can enjoy it now, and the next day I can go back to work and do something. So Stoicism and this idea that in everything that happens, there is a chance to practice excellence and improve our position in life. Maybe your boss doesn't like you. That means it's an opportunity to improve yourself and move to a better position. Have you been fired? Well, this can be an opportunity to finally start your own business, something you've always wanted to do. Maybe one of your employees made a big mistake. This is a good opportunity to use it as a lesson and educate others. Did your friend lie to you? This is an opportunity to practice forgiveness. I hope this video has helped you at least a little. If so, don't forget to hit the like button. Take care, and we'll see you soon for a new video.